All right, guys, this is just embarrassing, man. This is just humiliating. So you all know Keith Olbermann. Look, at one time he was a legend, right? He was on MSNBC during the Bush era. He was one of the sole voices really going after Bush and going after the illegal war in Iraq. And he sounded like just this legendary crusading character standing up for the right thing, being anti-war at a time when nobody on TV was anti-war. Phil Donahue was anti-war over on MSNBC, and they fired him early on. It took Keith Olbermann years later to come up and start making the same arguments, and he had a decent following at the time. He got some good numbers, so they allowed it to continue, right? But one of the things you always heard, whispers behind the scenes, is that Keith Olbermann is fucking crazy, that he's just a total nutcase. And everybody I know who's been in his vicinity says the exact same thing. The guy is off his rocker. So anyway, he went to Current TV for a while. He was a diva and a prima donna over there. You know, he's bounced between ESPN and other places. And remember when he did that show, was it with like GQ or Vogue or something? He did some weird political show at the beginning of the Trump years, and it was the most cringe thing you've ever seen in your life. Basically, every idiotic Trump argument one could think of, he would lean into that and ignore the proper criticisms, right? So he would like Russiagate all day long, as opposed to hitting him on like his tax policy and his neocon foreign policy. So anyway, the guy really, really fell from grace. No doubt about it. Well, this might be a new low. So here we go. This is a title in Mediaite. Any effing questions? Keith Olbermann blows attempted slam dunk on disastrous Biden post-debate polling. Any effing questions? Asked former MSNBC host Keith Olbermann on Sunday when sharing a result from a new CBS YouGov poll that he claims says it all about confidence in President Joe Biden after the CNN debate. So look, let me show you this right here. Here's the tweet. Today's YouGov CBS poll. Should Biden stay in the race? Yes, 55% to 45%. Should Trump stay in the race? No, 54% to 46%. That says it all. Any effing questions? Now, if you just read that, you think, oh, okay, fair enough. Decent point. Just wait for it. Wait for the specifics. So, should Biden be the nominee? That question was of Democratic registered voters. Should Trump be running for president? That's of all registered voters. So you see how he rigged the game? As it says here, and by the way, I don't even think he rigged the game. I just think he was breezing through this stuff and thought he found a gotcha and he tweeted it without actually really looking too closely at what he was posting. Characterizing the conclusions as yes, Biden should, and no, Trump should not, the former Fox Sports host wrote, that says it all. Any effing questions? But many users pointed out that the former Current TV host was not showing two sides of the same question. Instead, he was showing the result among registered Democratic voters on whether Biden should be the party's nominee, and among all registered voters on whether Trump should be running for president. As it turns out, the comparable question to the Trump slide, Biden scored worse. Biden scored worse. So, should Biden be running for president? It was 37% said he should in February. Now it's 28% says he should. Should Biden be running for president? 63% say no in February. Now that's up to 72%, a 9-point bump on that. On the question of whether he should be running for president, 54% said Trump should not, and 72% said Biden should not. So that's what it looks like when you compare apples to apples. Biden is almost 20 percentage points worse on the same question. Also, 72% said Biden does not have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president, while 49% said that of Trump. So again, over 20-point difference on that front. Maybe I'm being too kind in my analysis here, but my interpretation of it is he was just looking for a gotcha and he was sort of breezing through these poll results and he thought he found one. But obviously, all you have to do is look a little closer and immediately the narrative he was trying to push gets blown up. You can't compare the Democratic voter reaction on Biden to all registered voters' reaction on Trump. You have to do all registered voters to all registered voters, or, Democrats to Republicans, right? So, Jesus Christ. Look, I think the lesson to take away from this is don't be a brazen political hack, right? Don't be a brazen political hack where you work backwards from your conclusion. That's always the thing that disgusts me the most. I'm going to work backwards from my conclusion. So like in Keith Olbermann's mind, he's working backwards from the media's lying, Democratic politicians are lying. Everybody's lying. The voters are lying when they all say, you know what, Biden had a really bad night and he looked like he was in cognitive decline and that something should be done about that. His interpretation of that is like, these are all smear merchants and they're misleading and they're lying or they're stupid and they're not putting the focus where it needs to be, which is, Trump told more falsehoods, so let's only talk about that. You have to be willing to call a spade a spade. And you can point out that Trump told more falsehoods in the debate. He did. But you also have to acknowledge all of the numbers post-debate show Trump won the debate. And no amount of spin that you do is going to change that. And that's what this is, a pathetic attempt at spin where it's incredibly misleading and he got called out on it immediately, which again, by the way, that's why I think he wasn't lying. He was just being dumb. Like he just breezed through and thought he found a gotcha. So, Keith, you got to stop humiliating yourself, man. We get it. We get it. You're a Democrat. We get it. We all understand that. But that doesn't mean you should twist facts and reality like this. Because funny enough, this is the first thing I think of when I think of Republican voters, when I think of like the MAGA types. It's like they're willing to twist facts in the most egregious ways just to feed their narrative. And that's effectively what Keith Olbermann is doing here. And by the way, you're now seeing that on the Democratic side for sure. There's a strong like MAGA element to it. The way that you had some initial honesty after the debate and then everything snapped back into place. James Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, all out there like, bro, everybody calm down. He's doing fine. What's the problem? And then you had, a bunch of the resistance liberals on Twitter started coming up with QAnon type explanations like the lighting in the CNN studio made it so that Biden was going to look passive and submissive and Trump was going to look dominant and Biden looked pale because of the lighting and Trump looked strong and he was looking right at the camera. Guys, just stop it. Just stop it. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes the answer is Biden should step aside and literally any other Democrat should run against Trump and the Democrats would have a better chance in that scenario. Stop huffing the copium. This isn't working on anybody.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.